All right. So today we're going to start talking about writing equations in slope-intercept form. So some of you guys have talked about this when we were filling out our slope activity, our slope graphic organizer. You guys gave me the slope formula, no problem. You gave me the slope equation, no problem. So the slope-intercept form of a linear equation is written in the form y equals mx plus b, or f of x equals mx plus b. So I'm going to just write both forms off to the side. What do we know about y and f of x? They're the same. They're exactly the same. So what I really want you to know is that m, we've been solving for m in our slope formula. M stands for what? Yeah, it's the average rate of change, or it's your slope. M is your rate of change or your slope. B is something new. B is something that we haven't talked a whole lot about. B is any ideas? This is called the slope intercept. Yeah, say it again. It's the y-intercept. It's the y-intercept. It's where the graph crosses the y-axis. That's what the y-intercept means. I'm going to make that nice and big so everybody can see that. It's where the graph crosses the y-axis. Okay. So this is what I always say when I think about graphing this equation. We're not graphing it yet today, we're just writing it. But in the form y equals mx plus b, if b is where the graph crosses the y-axis, I always say that b is where I begin. B is where I begin. I want you guys to write that down. B is where you... Oh, you don't want them? Okay. Do you want them? Okay. B is where I begin. B is where I begin. So write that on there for me, please, and thank you. B is where you begin if you were going to graph it. So for a graph, put a little asterisk here. B is where you begin. B is where you begin. And that's it on that page. It's just kind of setting up the formula. So we're going to do 4 exercises. We're going to do 4 exercises using this kind of idea. So exercise number 1 says, consider the linear function whose graph is shown below. Determine an equation in the form y equals mx plus b. So the first thing that we need to do is, if we're going to write an equation, we have to figure out what m and b are. These are the values that we have to plug into the equation. The y and the x are always there. They don't change. So, how do I find m? How do I find slope from a graph? What do I do? Pick 2 what? Yeah, I need to pick 2 points that lie exactly on the intersection of a grid line, right? Exactly on the intersection of a grid line. So I'm going to make this really big, just for a second. I know it's kind of ridiculous, but does this point right here show the intersection of 2 grid lines? No, it does not. So don't pick that point. It's not a good point to pick. Does this point right here show the intersection of 2 grid lines? No, so don't pick that point. That's the biggest mistake I see people make, right? But this point right here does. This point is the intersection, and this point is the intersection of 2 grid lines. So let's count how much we rise. We rise 3. And because we're going up, it's positive. How much do we run? 2. So my slope for this function is 3 over 2. Where does my graph cross the y-axis? Where does my graph cross the y-axis? Yeah, at 0, 2, or we just want the y-intercept. So it's 2. So B is 2. B equals 2. So what's the equation going to look like? Yeah, y equals 3 halves x plus 2. We just substituted in the value of m with 3 halves and the value of 2 for our b. That's all we did. So question B says test your equation for the value of x equals 2. So when we test it, we're going to let x equal 2, and then we're going to check the graph and make sure that our outputs match. That's what it means. So whatever I get algebraically should match what the graph has graphically, right? So if I take this equation and I let x equal 2, y equals 3 halves times 2 plus 2. So 3 halves times 2, well, that's the same thing as saying 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. And these cancel out. So I really have y equals 3 plus 2, which means that y equals 5. So when x is 2, y is 5. So let's go check our graph and make sure that we did that properly. That's what it means by check it, right? We're going to check it. We're going to test it. So when x is 1, 2, my output is 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my goodness, look at that. My output is 5. So that's how we know that the equation that we wrote is accurate. That's how we know that the equation that we wrote is accurate. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. When the y-intercept is an integer, like in the last exercise, it's fairly easy to get the exact relationship. Okay. But sometimes the y-intercept is not an integer. Sometimes it's between the 2 points, and you can't guess, you can't eyeball it, right? You can't say it's about, you have to calculate it exactly. So here we're going to find the equation of the linear function and write it in slope-intercept form. And then we're going to test our equation. So I'm going to make this really big first. We don't know where it crosses the y-axis, but we can select 2 ordered pairs to calculate slope. So what 2 points do you guys want to select? Okay, I'll start first. Let's select the ordered pair. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to select the ordered pair -4, +3. -4, +3. And then I'm going to use the one that Eleni said. Eleni said 0, 5, but she meant 5, 0, right?
Oh, yeah.
I knew what you meant. Okay. So we have 2 ordered pairs. We can absolutely calculate the slope. Okay, so let's see. Our slope, I'm going to label these x sub 1, y sub 1, right on my graph, and x sub 2, y sub 2, right on my graph. So let's see, y sub 2, 0, minus y sub 1, 3, over x sub 2, 5. I don't know why that does that. minus x sub 1, which is negative 4. Should this have positive slope or negative slope? How do you know? Why? Yeah, the graph is going down. Y is getting smaller, so it should have negative slope. Let's see. 0 minus 3 is negative 3. What happens when I have this minus a negative here? I know you guys are so tired of me saying that. Turn it into a great big plus. 5 plus 4 is what? 9. So what is the slope really? Negative 1/3. Good job. Okay, so I'm going to write that equation. Y equals m times x plus b. Well, I know what my slope is. I just calculated it. My slope is negative 1/3. So I'm going to write that. Y equals negative 1/3 times x plus b. I don't know what b is. I don't know what b is because it doesn't cross exactly at one spot. So we have to calculate b. And the only way to isolate, when I say calculate b, meaning we have to get b all by itself. And the only way to do that is to plug in a value for x and y. Do I know a value that I can substitute in for x and y? Where? Yeah, we have 2 ordered pairs. So you just choose one of them. You choose one of those ordered pairs and plug them in for x and y. I try to always use the ordered pair that does not have negatives in it so I don't make mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to choose to use this ordered pair right here. And I'm going to plug that in for x and y. So let's see. What is my y value in the ordered pair 5, 0? It's 0. So I'm going to replace y with a 0. 0 equals negative 1/3. What is my x value in this ordered pair? 5 plus b. Okay, so let's calculate that. What is negative 1 times 5? It's negative 5. Remember, this is 5 over 1. 3 times 1 is 3 plus b. I'm almost done solving for b. I've almost got it isolated. I've almost got b figured out. What is my value for b? How am I going to get b all by itself? That says 0 equals something plus b. How do I get b all by itself? Pick your head up. Yeah, it's actually a negative, so I'm going to add it, right? I'm going to add it to both sides. So I'm going to add 5/3 to both sides. Yeah, I'm going to add 5/3 here. And I'm going to add 5/3 here. So when I do that, I find out that b equals 5/3. B equals 5/3. So now I have all of the information that I need to write an equation in slope-intercept form, because I know that my slope is negative 1/3 and my y-intercept is 5/3. So y equals negative 1/3, that's my slope, times x plus b, which is 5 over 3. That is my equation. So now we still have to test this, right? Didn't it ask us to test this for a certain point? We have to test this when x equals what? Yeah, so here's the test. Is it like you got to go? You can't hold it? Yeah, can you grab a pass right there? And there. I'm out of passes. That's okay. Let's just write it on a Post-it note. Max restroom, hurry. Okay, you're welcome. All right. So here's the equation that we're using. Y equals negative 1/3 x plus 5/3 And we have to test it by letting x equal -4. So what does that mean? We're going to plug this value in and make sure that it matches our point on the graph, okay, when x equals -4. So let's see, y equals -1/3 times, I'm going to write -4 as -4/1 plus 5/3. Okay, what is -1 times -4? Say it. It's a +4. 3 times 1 is? So I have 4/3 plus 5/3. What is 4/3 plus 5/3? It equals 9/3. But what does 9/3 reduce to? It equals 3. So this says that when x is -4, y is 3. We need to check the graph. You see I wrote CK because that's usually what I write for the word check. I don't really write it out. I just write CK. We need to check the graph. So let's check our graph. Well, I know that when y or when x is -4, y is 3 because that was one of the ordered pairs that we used to calculate our slope. You guys see that? So do we have the proper equation? Yes. So in the first equation, we just used m and b, that we just determined them from the graph. In this example, we had to find b. So I'm going to write that up here. In this example, we had to find b. Because when you go back and do your homework tonight, or when you start on your homework, I want you to know what it means to find b, right? I want you to know how to do that. So example 2 is an example of finding the y-intercept. So in these last 2 examples, exercise 3 and in exercise 4, I believe. Yeah. We're just going to be given ordered pairs, which is much like we did in the last one. We're given ordered pairs. So we're going to divide the group into 2. I'm going to divide you guys into 2. So let's list the steps first, the process. So the first thing I need you to do is what? Label your points. X1, Y1, and X2, Y2. Next, I need you to calculate the slope using m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Third, I need you to choose one ordered pair. I don't care which one you choose. Choose one ordered pair. Choose one ordered pair, and you're going to plug your m and your x and your y. You're going to plug your m and your x and your y. Whoops. Into y equals mx plus b. Fifth thing, you're going to solve for b. I know it's a lot. It helps, though, to write it out. You're going to solve for b. Last step, write the equation. Y equals mx plus b with your m that you calculated and with your b that you calculated. Okay, those are the steps. So let's just divide the room in half. Is that okay? So I'm going to kind of do it diagonally, whatever. So Luce, you're on the front half. So Gerardo, Dominic, Sophia, Jaden, Kian, Lainey, and everyone this way. Do you guys want to do A or B? A, okay. Isabel, Elaine, Andres, Amaya, and Jerry, and everyone on this side is gonna do B, okay? Work together, talk it out. Those are all the steps. You have all the steps. I'm gonna work it out myself on here. Yeah, I'm gonna scrunch it up so you can see it. Yeah, I'm gonna do that, right? So I've got all the steps. I'm not letting anyone else go to the bathroom. Is it an emergency? Did you eat breakfast this morning? Okay. Do you? Good deal. I love that. Quickly, okay? Quick like a bunny. Thank you. Can you see all the steps? Okay, good deal. Because you have to use one of those ordered pairs, either the 2-5 or the 5-17 to plug back in, right? You just have to choose one. It doesn't matter which one you use. I always choose one that has no negatives, but neither one of those have negatives. So either thing that you choose will be acceptable. You guys are being awfully quiet. Are you not wanting to confer with the neighbor? You feel like you got it with the steps? Okay. Anyone have an equation for me? What are you doing? Front side or back side? First one or second one? I'm going to come over and check it. Your slope is correct. Pick one of your ordered pairs, plug it into your equation with your slope. One of your ordered pairs for X and Y. Get it done? So your slope is correct. What's your y-intercept? You have to spell my What's your b? Okay, so get rid of those. So remember, guys and gals, remember, once you figure out your slope and your y-intercept, you're writing the equation y equals m, whatever your m is, times x plus b. You're not putting your ordered pair points in. You're using the variable y and x. You're just replacing the m and the b. Okay? You're using the y and the x. You're replacing the m and the b. Just pick one. Which one you want? Okay. So here's what I do. I start with my slope and I write y equals 4x plus b. And then I write the one that I'm going to get on this side. this is x, and this is y. So y is going to be 17. X is going to be what? X is going to be 5.
I didn't do
Got it? Yeah.
Whoa. Yo, what is that?
It would be,
Oh,
yes.
how does that make sense?
So for the first one, when I calculated my slope, I got a slope of 4. I had a slope of 4. So I chose the ordered pair 2, 5. Did anybody choose the pair 5, 17? Yeah, Carter did. And Carter still got his y-intercept as -3. Doesn't matter which ordered pair you choose, you're still going to get the same y-intercept, right? So your y-intercept is -3. So I write the equation y equals m, replace it, times x plus b. Well, plus and negative is just the same thing as minus. So your equation for that first one, if you did it, was y equals 4x minus 3. For the second one, I calculated my slope at -1/2. Who did the second one? Did we get a slope of -1/2? Okay. So slope of -1/2. So I write it out. Y equals -1/2 times x plus b. I'm trying to solve for b, so I always write down what point I'm using. So I'm using the point 2, 3. So y is 3, x is 2, plus b. Well, half of 2 is 1, and it's negative. So 3 equals -1 plus b. Add 1 to both sides, so b is 4. So this equation, y equals, I replace my slope, I get rid of the m and put my slope in there, -1/2 x plus 4. Okay? Y equals -1/2 x plus 4. Okay, we're going to do number 5 or number 4 together. We're all going to do it together, but those are the steps. We're going to use those same steps. Okay, so number 4. Here we go. First, we have to determine our ordered pairs. Okay, so a car is traveling along a straight road. It really doesn't matter if the road is straight as long as it's traveling at a constant rate. So it says after 1 hour, that's my time, the car has traveled 72 miles. That's my first ordered pair from Chicago. After how many hours? After 3 hours, the car has traveled 188 miles. That's my second ordered pair. Determine an equation for the distance d the car is from h hours. That's just saying d is the same thing as y. And remember, time is always your x. H is your x value. So we're going to write this as y equals mx plus b, and then we're just going to swap out the y and the x with the d and the h. Don't do it any differently. So step number 1 says that I have to label my points. Okay. I'm going to call this x sub 1 and y sub 1. And I'm going to call this point x sub 2 and y sub 2. And I'm going to calculate my slope. Y sub 2, 188, minus y sub 1, which is 72, over x sub 2, which is 3, minus x sub 1, which is 1. So 188 minus 72 is isn't it 10? Yeah, it is 116. It is. Hello, I'm trying to fix that. Yes. You guys don't have to talk to me like that. I don't talk snippy to any of you. 116, shh, and 3 minus 1 is 2. So what is my slope? 58 miles per hour. That's really what that is, okay? So now what do? I have to choose what? Choose one of those ordered pairs. Which ordered pair do you want to use? I'm going to highlight it. Okay, we're going to use this ordered pair. So I'm going to write the equation with my slope. Y equals 58x plus b. And then I write the point that I'm substituting in there after it so I know what I'm doing, okay? So that means that I'm going to let y equal what value? 72 equals 58 times, what is the value of x going to be? 1 plus b. Okay. 58 times 1 is? So 72 equals 58 plus b. Subtract 58 from both sides, and what do we get for our b value? Hopefully we get 14. Yes? Okay. So we know what our slope is, and we know what our y-intercept is. So what is our equation? Y equals, anybody? Hang on a second. Yes,
71 minus 58 would actually be 16.
it's 72, right? Isn't it 72? Okay.
Yeah, it is 72. I wrote it wrong.
That's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay. So y equals 58 what? X plus what? 14. So then what did we say we were going to do? We were going to replace the y with the letter D. So D equals 58 times H for a number of hours plus 14. All we did was translate that equation for the variables that they gave us. I do have a Band-Aid. I have several of them. I'm going to freeze that. I'm going to stop our video, and I'm going to pass that